All right. Good morning, everyone. Still waiting for a few committee members to join us here, but here to go through the preamble slides so that we can be ready to call roll and get the meeting started as soon as the rest of the committee shows up. So this is the May 7th meeting of the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee. To go through the virtual meeting regulations and procedures, actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the start of any presentation. The recused committee member will then leave the meeting for the duration of the case discussion. The chair will call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call of the committee. The administrator will introduce the first project. The meeting will then be turned over to the applicant to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the committee. Once the presentation is concluded, the administrator will provide any background information and read any received public comment when applicable. The committee will then begin deliberations and project review. Please use the raised hand feature if you'd like to speak. After deliberations and review concludes, the committee will render its recommendation and/or motion. The applicant may leave the meeting after their project review is complete. All projects will follow the same format until all projects are heard by the committee. Once all projects are heard, the chair will call for any committee/administrative reports, and after all reports have been heard, the chair will adjourn the meeting. Regarding community comments, any and all community members may provide their written comments, thoughts, or questions regarding projects presented to the committee. Community members may also telephone their comments or questions to the committee administrator. All comments, thoughts, or questions must be submitted to the committee administrator no later than 48 hours prior to the start of the meeting. Submissions may be made by email, phone, or snail mail, or dropping off information here at City Hall. Public comment received after the deadline will not be heard by the committee. Public comment will be collected by Landmark staff and sent to committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting, and Landmark staff will also summarize any received comments during the meeting. The applicant of the project is under no obligation to answer any community questions. Community members are invited to attend the Design Review Advisory Committee meetings, but there will be no open public comment period. Regarding design review guidelines, all projects are being reviewed using the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and are being considered for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness. All projects are considered on a case-by-case basis. Presentations were received and distributed to committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Changes to the presentation after confirmation of receipt by Landmark staff will not be shown here today. The Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee makes recommendations to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. These recommendations are not final actions. Depending on the scope of the project, submissions may be approved administratively or will need to be reviewed by the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. If that's the case, projects will be scheduled at the next available commission meeting after an action is taken. As always, we have the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation available. If anyone would like to refer to them during the meeting, I can pull that slide back up. So with that, Madam Chair, if you'd like to call the meeting to order, I'm happy to call roll.
Great. Calling today's Thursday, May 7th, Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting to order.
All right. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Flaherty?
Here.
Mr. Frondorf?
Here.
Ms. Lamb?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Ms. Myers? Mr. Persons? And Ms. Marinucci?
Here.
Madam Chair, we do have quorum. I guess we're a slight adjustment to the order on the published agenda. First case will still be case, but we're going to move the case number 3, which is HOC 26-14, up to the second review because there are some recusals for previous cases 2 and 4. So we're just sort of putting all those together at the end. Our first case is still HOC 26-13 at 4126 Lorraine for signage. I believe we have Gia here. If you want to walk us through your, oh, no, got things in the wrong order up here. My apologies. Yeah, if you'd like to walk us through your presentation, we are, just let me know when you want me to change slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Gia. I am actually opening up a fitness studio on Lorraine Avenue. So I'm 4126 Lorraine. The studio name is Energy. It's like a Pilates, yoga, and a little bit of strength-based fitness studio. So I'm just kind of looking to get a little bit of approval for what I want to put in the windows. So that's the first slide. The second slide, this is kind of just showing where on Lorraine it is. So if you look where like Goldie's Donuts is and the tattoo shop, I'm right next to True Art Tattoo. And then it's just like a small little space next to that. So there's my sign location. And then you could go to the next. So this is kind of what the front of the building looks like. It's definitely an older building, but the windows are in the front. And really all I'm looking to do is put my logo in each of the sides. And then below it, the word fitness studio and a little QR code with the website, just so when people are walking by, they can see the name of the studio. The full front of the window is 72 inches tall by 57 inches across. So that's good to know. If you go to the next slide, it'll kind of show specifics for the sizes of what it would look like. So the Energy logo itself will be about 34 to 38 inches width-wise, height-wise 10 to 12 inches, and they're kind of centered horizontally in both of the windows. Below that will be a small subtext, which just says fitness studio. Pretty small too. It's between 16 to 20 inches and then 2 to 3 inches. And then on each of the two lower sides, we'll have energystudios.co, which is just the website. And then the bottom right will have a little QR code that would people could scan into to signing into class and such. So pretty straightforward. Then I have, of course, my estimate on there for pricing from Fast Signs for creating the project. I did since get a few different quotes that are a little bit lower, which is nice for me, pretty nice. But generally speaking, it's very simple. It's just the logos, the fitness studio, and the website. And that is my full, yeah, I think that's it. Maybe next is another, estimate. It's just the estimate on there. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have the one estimate, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
Any questions or anything? And
So just the signs there in the windows, no blade sign or anything?
would a blade sign be the one that sticks out?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so I want that, but I don't know exactly how to get it. But so for right now, I'm just gonna kind of hold off on getting a sign that sticks out for now. Hopefully I'll be able to, but just the window decals for the moment.
So this is sort of a phase one, and then down the road, when you've had some success and business is thriving, you can invest in a blade sign.
That's the goal. We'll start small. Start with the simple window decals and go from there.
Unless
And I
anyone
think-
has any, good.
No, I was just going to say, if anyone has any questions, let me know. But that's what it is.
Hearing no questions, I will move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All right, seeing no other hands raised, hearing no other comments. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Mr. Frondor,
Yes.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
and Ms. Marnucci.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously. All right, Gia, congrats. Landmarks will be in touch with next steps. Thanks.
Awesome. Just quick question, does that mean that so I can go ahead and order now for the decals and all of that, or do you guys send me something like an approval?
We'll send you a formal sort of results of the meeting. So yeah, just hold tight until you get that, just to make sure. But yeah, Jessica I think she usually sends those out Friday morning. So if you need to move today, we can talk later today too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have case HOC 26-14 at 3020 Carroll Avenue. Got Aaron Jacobson and Stefan Madrea here, if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologize. But I'll hand it over. If you want to walk us through your presentation, just let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Sure. Hi, I'm Tara Tulis. I was also on the list of people. I'm here with Stefan Mandrea of Forest City Builders. Okay, so this is for 3020 Carroll Avenue. The overall design intent of this exterior renovation is to respectfully update the home while maintaining, the surrounding neighborhood characteristics and the architectural rhythm of the building itself. A major component of the design intent was preserving the home's inherently unique architectural identity, specifically with the existing glass block that is a large element of the home existing, while thoughtfully updating the surrounding facade. So the proposed improvements were carefully selected to create a cohesive, timeless appearance that feels appropriate in scale, and also keeping in mind the historic content of the area. Rather than removing or disguising the glass block features, we wanted to update the exterior materials with a color palette that was intentional and that complemented the existing architectural elements. So the design team focused heavily on preserving the residential scale and proportions of the existing home and selecting materials that felt authentic and durable for the, city of Cleveland. And then introducing updated siding materials in a way that still feels historical. And then also improving curb appeal while respecting the neighboring homes and the streetscape. So if you, sorry, could we skip to the next? Yeah, keep going. Keep going, sorry. So here's just the scope of the work. I'm sure you guys all reviewed this prior to. If you keep clicking through, you'll see photos of the existing home and then what we're proposing as far as vertical siding on the front and then the remainder of the main house. If you could click a couple slides through. So here was the existing. This is good. So this slide represents the, you can see that the siding and everything was, needing to be repaired. If you click to the next one, it shows a rendering of the proposed color and the vertical siding as well. This one shows the glass block that's existing, and why we decided on So the proposed materials that were selected were not only selected for the aesthetics, but also like the longevity and the long-term preservation of the property. And the goal here with this project was to not dramatically reinvent the home, but rather to thoughtfully refine and update it in a way that feels cohesive, timeless, and respectful of the neighborhood's existing character. We believe the proposed material palette and the detail achieve the balance while improving the long-term appearance and durability of the property.
Okay. Was there anything else, Tara?
If you guys want to jump in as the homeowners and kind of.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm Aaron, and this is Hannah. We are the new homeowners. We didn't get a chance to say hello at the top. And we're working with Tara and Steve as our siding contractors. So essentially, the home that we bought is sided vertically. You can see that on it. Yeah, the front is kind of this false stucco that our understanding from the inspectors was not properly installed or maintained to begin with. And the rest of the house is currently, and has been for 40 years, is my understanding, is vertically sided with T111, which you can see from these pictures is rotting and peeling away from the structure throughout. So we knew when we bought the place that our first order of business was to replace the siding, and our intention was really just to restore what already existed. I think that there's a really beautiful concept on the site already with the vertical siding and its harmony with this glass block. So we just wanted to restore essentially what is there to its former glory.
What is underneath the stucco in the vertical siding? This is one of a couple examples of houses that went through an unfortunate phase in the 70s in the historic district, before it was a historic district. Is there, I presume, brick underneath that stucco?
Not that we've seen. I think there should be an image here that includes the current condition now that this front facade, there it is. So you can see, yeah.
That's the front?
Correct. And I guess now is a good time for an apology that we didn't understand before we got in and ripped off what was there. We didn't understand this protocol. So we're sorry for jumping the gun and taking off that front facade, which is now wrapped in Tyvek and waiting for your approval. But you can see here what is existing. There's been so much recladding of the whole facade over the years that you can see all of these different layers of intervention. The original clapboard you can see at the top half of that south street-facing facade. Maybe worth mentioning also that giant square window is not original to the 1900s design either. And the lower half of that siding on the south facade, but throughout you can see on the back house and that second picture as well, has all been kind of removed, and it's kind of a patchwork of wood and siding from throughout the ages.
Since you have this opportunity to maybe correct some historic wrongs, I would strongly suggest that you go with horizontal siding. The vertical siding was a mistake of the 70s, and the only real historic use of vertical siding is in Gothic revival, at least within our historic district. Is that something that you would consider?
Well, we have considered it, and I expected some of you might be considering it today. Our reason for wanting to stick with vertical siding is because if you look at maybe the next slide or our original proposal, yeah, or even if you back up one, either of those slides, the front or back of the property. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the side by side where you can see that view. Yeah, right there. I feel pretty strongly that what we're responding to in residing the house now is not only the 1900s, typology of the house, but also all of this glass block, which I think undeniably defines the architectural spirit that exists now on the site. I think that the vertical siding actually helps to frame those big vertical glass bays really well. When we've imagined putting horizontal siding, butting against these glass block bays, I think it's introduces even more kind of visual clutter with all of the geometry that already exists. So we have thought about it. I think that the simple vertical profiles help to frame the kind of geometry and rhythm that already exists there.
Can you tell me a little bit about what we're seeing in this image? Is that a later addition, or was it just more of this really heavy remodel to an original structure?
The faceted bay on the side?
Yes.
I believe, and to be honest, I haven't seen historical records of this. I believe that's an addition. I think if you look at the front of the house, I think that the entire glass block addition might be added to the front of the original facade, because you can see there's an asymmetry in the pitch of the roof. I think it has all been added. And the windows over the years have been adjusted to accommodate that kind of the new volume. It is a unique site. I mean, I think the house and what drew Hannah and me to it is that it is kind of a hybrid that's marrying, historical features and much more modern ones. To me, maintaining the vertical siding that has long been established there, as you said, since the 70s, I don't see as a continuation of a wrong. I think it's actually respecting what's there in a way that's pretty, I don't think it's very radical in my view, and I think it honors what's on the site.
I wonder if there's a compromise for doing a horizontal siding on the front facade and then continuing the vertical on the other sides. I do think either way, you have done a favor to the building by removing the EIFS and the T111. So let me just start by saying.
How do we agree on that? Can I ask, and we're open to your suggestion in theory, can I ask why horizontal on the front in particular?
Because as Alex said, that really would have been, the most traditional application of the siding material within the context of where it is built. Normally I would say, yeah, that's what you have, that would be like our strongest preference. This is a little bit of a unique case because of all of this glass block. I'd like to hear other people's thoughts.
I am, I don't know. I'm conflicted because I very much obviously appreciate what you and Alex are saying, though I think I agree with the homeowner that this responds better to the interventions that are probably nearing historic status themselves at this point.
Well, I was thinking that too, Nia. I mean,
yes, we did have some very interesting choices in the 70s. There's a chunk of houses on Carroll and a chunk on Bridge that were really impacted by that. I wonder, I think what might still be hearkening maybe a bit too much towards that 70s is that it's a textured brown, and that is really hearkening the 70s vibe. If it was a smooth application rather than a cedar texture application, I'm not opposed to the brown because it is clearly right off of our historic palette, and I'm not going to be mad about that. But maybe even a color tweak and going to a smooth would then evoke a bit more of that lap siding without changing the orientation of it. I'm curious what you guys would think of that. It's throwing me. The windows in the front are such a departure.
And you don't have plans to like change any of the windows in the front in terms of like their physical location?
No.
Okay.
No, and I want the board to weigh in, but if I can on the texture color matter, we're definitely open to adjusting the color. The brown is, you said we chose from the historic catalog. We're happy to consider maybe other shades if that would help. As far as the texture goes, I have to say I really like the texture. I see examples of the modern, the smooth hardy board or LP siding in the neighborhood. To me, it feels like it's missing some soul. I think it reads modern in a way that doesn't have a lot of depth. I think this house calls for something a little bit more unique. If it's a combination of texture and color that is an issue, we're happy to respond to that. But I think I'd like to fight for the texture a little bit.
That's your prerogative too. I think to give context to the smoother versus texture, the historic original lap siding of the 19th century really did appear smooth when it was painted. So a lot of times what we're reacting to when we get new material that's mimicking the historic material, the texture is often overdone because we would not have had, those would have been really smooth milled pieces in the houses that you see with truly original siding, often appear a little texture just because of layers of paint rather than the actual wood texture. So it's just like an authenticity type of thing. I do think if you were willing to switch to smooth, that would help again kind of reach that compromise. I can appreciate for sure what you're saying, but straddling kind of the eras of the home is a challenge for this board when our onus is to look at it from an appropriateness of the historic district, which is rooted in that 19th, I'm sorry, that 1800s era rather than the 1970s era, which again is approaching its own historic status. Maura or Whitney, do you guys have any thoughts?
I can weigh in. I actually really like your proposal as is, so I may be have a differing viewpoint from some of the other members. I agree that the vertical application works best with some of the other existing conditions. I really love glass block, and I'm very excited to see you keep that. There's so much of it. This house has so many layers, and I apologize, I have disrespectful dogs here. This house has so many layers, and I think that that really is a lovely nod to the history of this neighborhood as well. And I think it adds to variety and architecture throughout the neighborhood. So I like the color. If there were any kind of augmentation to the presentation, I think that it would probably I'd probably be open to Nia's suggestion of a smooth siding rather than the texture, because I agree when it's that much siding, it can read a little bit faux. And so it seems like maybe that might not be something you're interested in long term, if the end result does look like that. But I love the color. I like the vertical. I like that you're keeping the siding consistent throughout the home. I don't think that a change between front and back is necessary. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think I would adjust in this proposal is the texture of the siding. I agree with Nia's comment regarding that it's more accurate historically, which is our job to, consider. And yeah, so I think the color is fine, the vertical application is fine, but I'd like to see it from a historic standpoint be the smooth texture.
Madam Chair,
just
sorry, a point of clarification. Are you also proposing to reside what's labeled as the back house?
Yes.
And is that the proposed shape? Is that a cementitious product as well? And then is this Dutch, doesn't look like Dutch lap. Is it vinyl siding being proposed, or is it LP Smart siding as well? Or?
The back house, the facade that faces in towards the front property would be LP Smart Side, the engineered wood shake, and the other three faces, including the back alley, none of which are visible from the street, the sidewalk, would be vinyl lap siding.
Thanks for pointing that out, Dan, because we hadn't even looked at that guy yet. Do we know I mean, it isn't visible. I'm kind of inclined to say what's in the proposal is fine by me, but unless we have like some sort of historically significant reason to push on any material over on the back house.
Yeah, can we just get some context? Is it facing the alley? How is it situated on the, what is visible from a public right of way?
Yeah, you can see it right there from the alley that, the car access, it's only that back wall is visible. The others are obscured by fences. So you would see that one face that would be vinyl, frankly, like a lot of the other neighbors' garages on that back alley. None of the rest of that back house is visible whatsoever from the street. Certainly from the Carroll side, the south side of the front house, you can't see that back structure at all from any view.
On that, then I would be fine if you wanted to do the three sides that aren't visible in vinyl, but the public facing side on the alley there, I would not support vinyl.
I think it's just for clarification, is it a garage or is it a house? It looks like there's a chimney right about where you'd want to park a car.
The car, it's not a garage. The car would be parked next to it in that little pad there.
Okay.
So the back side of that structure is just kind of it's just a wall with a window in it that meets the back alley.
So Alex, your preference would be to prioritize that alley facing rather than the interior yard facing side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want to do vinyl on the interior, I mean, okay. But the public facing side, that should not be vinyl.
What is an alternative?
You could use like a Hardy product.
Or the LP siding, if just light on the back.
Yeah.
So even though
replicating this treatment on the back
access road and not like a public throughway.
Yeah. Yes. Because our alleys deserve love too. They're not without historic protection.
Yeah, we also see more and more new construction happening in those alleys, at people adding properties. And so in holding up the standards of the district, we have to consider the alley much like the front of the street.
And I'm like taking a walk down Google Street View, and it certainly seems like this little alley house needs a lot of love, but it is also still I don't know if it still does based on the work you've already done, but it has the what looks like original cladding on it. And I think there is a differentiation in my mind between a garage and a house on the alley. So if this weren't here and you were building a new garage, I think vinyl would be acceptable to majority of the board, but it's a historic structure in its own right. Which I can then agree with Alex on favoring the alley facing side.
Okay. I don't know if I don't see Tara on the call anymore, and I'll just okay. The back structure, we already have vinyl on that back alley wall. Is it something that we need to replace?
We just had an applicant within the last 2 months put vinyl up without any permission, and and I believe, but Dan can correct me, Landmarks required that vinyl on the public facing side be taken off and replaced with a more historically appropriate material. So
Okay.
I would recommend the same here, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll do that.
Was work, did work start without a permit, or was the permit not inclusive of these exterior changes?
Hi, I'm still here. So we had submitted for the permit, and then it obviously got to the Landmark review, and that's when we were informed that we had to go through Landmark with all of these selections.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Mm-hmm.
For your, I guess, Dan, are we treating this as final review, or is this still, I mean, I guess we can ask, are we looking at this as preliminary?
We had this for a final review.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like there's enough info here.
Oh, I agree. I just was curious. So what we can do to the applicants, you've heard feedback, you've heard kind of I would say a spread of feedback from our board, our committee, which happens sometimes. Your options are, you can ask us to make a motion and vote. You can ask us to table it and make some adjustments to your plan and then come back. It's up to you at this point. If you want us to vote, we can do that. Or if you want to table, we can do that.
Our goal is to leave today with the decision so that we can move forward. If the decisions include the decision to reclad the alley facing wall of the back structure, I think we can do that if that's what's demanded of us. And on the front house, the decisions we're making, or rather the choices that we're making for vote are at this point, what, textured or not textured, or are there other things that need to be voted on?
I think yes, on the back house. I think if we were to make a condition of that rear facing facade to also be in the smart siding or the composite siding of your choice, which I'm assuming you'd still use the same product, but we could do that as a condition for the back house. For the front house, that's where you kind of had a spread. So I would say, like, if there was a motion to approve as presented, you might have more denials. If it was how would we do this, guys? I also can't make the motion because I'm the chair, so I'm just kind of talking out
We
loud.
could also divide them up and have a motion for the back house and a motion for the front house. I think
We could do that. We could also say if someone wanted to make a motion to approve as presented with smooth siding, you might have some approval, some denial, based on what I gather. I don't think you'll have universal approval just without having some sort of condition, and I don't know that.
And denial would mean we're back up for a vote in 2 more weeks.
So what happens we are the advisory committee to Landmarks, so they are the actual approving body. So they will take our recommendation based on those approval, denials, conditions, and then they will actually vote. So you are welcome. They often are in alignment with us. Sometimes they're not. It's like they're the actual approval. So you would you're here for they take our recommendation.
Okay. it sounds like an expensive gamble on our part. We can handle the two structures as separate motions, if that makes sense. I don't think you're going to have an objection from us or our siding team about redoing the back wall to be compliant. As far as the front house goes, I wish Hannah and I had a little bit more time to think about what's being presented. I'm guessing some combination of untextured on the south street facade and textured elsewhere would I don't even know if we'll have to think about whether that's something we want, but would that be permissible?
I think if you want more time, my recommendation would be to table it and come back in 2 weeks, so you have that time. But
We're just concerned because of the weather.
I think we'd rather vote, to be honest.
okay.
So you need from us a decision about whether textured or untextured now. Is that where we are?
We can make a motion to be inclusive of, I think, changes that you would be willing to make, or we can vote, someone can move to approve or deny as presented, and we can
Okay.
do that. Am I explaining this right, Dan? Chime in, please, if I'm.
Yeah. So essentially, if the committee here makes a recommendation to approve with the condition that, just hypothetically, that the south facing front facade of the main building be smooth in texture, but the others are fine to keep in a textured siding. You can move forward with that, and we'll report that to the commission at our meeting next week. We'll explain that there's a lot of discussion about it. We'll
Okay.
say it was
I
a
think
split
I
vote,
understand
it's a
now.
vote, but it's all kind of gets summarized to the commission, and then they would make the final decision as to whether, if you want to keep pushing for textured on the front, it's well within your rights to do that. If you want to go to the commission and say, yeah, we talked it through and we decided that we're fine with going to the smooth texture, then it's, probably an easy decision for the commission to say, then we're going to agree with local. So it's kind of, like as the chairwoman said, this is a recommendation that factors very heavily into the commission's decision. So any conditions they put on it are passed on to the commission for consideration to make conditions of their own.
Okay.
I have one final question before we make a motion and start the voting. On the back house that we have on our screen, was anything else changed about that, including the addition of a door or a window?
No additional doors or windows.
So the door that we're looking at and the window that we're looking at were existing?
They exist, yes.
Okay.
Those face the inside of the property, correct?
I'm sorry?
Oh,
This faces the inside of the property, correct? We're not looking
Yes.
at the alley facade? Okay.
Correct. That faces inside.
okay.
All right. Well, if we can vote on the proposal, I guess as is, though we're, on the condition that if untextured is preferred, then we'll do untextured, then we can proceed that way. If I'm understanding the rules correctly.
I'll start. I'd like to bifurcate them unless anyone has an objection. For the back house, that's the alley facing house. I move to approve on the condition, and it is a condition that the alley facing facade be reclad in a hardy or similar material that staff can administratively approve. And I'll leave it at that. And to the applicants, thank you for investing your time and money in the neighborhood. Please do not take our comments, even when critical, as anything to the contrary. We're here just to protect the historic district, not to weigh in on you becoming our neighbors and contributing to the neighborhood. So thank you. All right, so that's my motion for the back house.
I'll second.
I'll second.
All right. Seeing no other hands up, Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Mr. Frondor,
Yes.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
I'm sure the motion passes unanimously. we're looking for a motion for the front house.
So I can make that motion. And let me make sure I'm getting this right. We're making a motion to approve as presented, but with the recommendation that at least the front facade siding be smooth and not textured.
I will second.
All right. Hearing no other comments, seeing no other hands, Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Mr. Frondorf,
No.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
I'm sure the motion passes by a vote of 4-1. Yeah, we will get you on next week's agenda. We'll reach out with all the details on that for the Landmarks Commission meeting. So you basically just have to go through the presentation again. They'll make a final decision. So we will be in touch.
We're making the same presentation next week?
To the Landmarks Commission. Yeah, so this is the Design Review Advisory Committee. So they're advisory to Landmarks Commission. They make the recommendations. So since there's a lot of discussion and a split vote, it'll go to the Landmarks Commission. They'll make that final decision. Essentially, it sounds like the main sticking point is whether it's smooth or textured siding on that south facade.
Okay. So just so I understand, if we had just said we'll do smooth siding, today would have been approved and we could have proceeded without a second review?
No, the Landmarks Commission still makes that final determination. In I guess some very straightforward seeming cases, we can approve things administratively after gone to the local design review committee. For instance, like the sign project that we saw before this will probably be handled administratively because it doesn't need any variances, and there was no real discussion, no real comments or concerns, and it was a unanimous vote. So that's one that I'm likely to just handle administratively. But with yours, since there was a little more discussion, some differing points of view shared and discussed, and then a non-unanimous vote, we take it to the commission.
I see.
So, but yeah, we will reach out with next steps and the details on all that. But
Okay.
yeah, Thursday morning next week.
All right. Thank you very much of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Dan,
up-
before we move on to the next one, I'm just going to formally, for the record, recuse on the next two items. And then just to add for a context for the no vote, was that my understanding of the historic district that was created and the buildings that are contributing to it largely came from the 19th century and not from the mid-century. That's all, just for context.
Thank you. So we have a recusal.
And I'm also going to recuse for these next two.
All right. Thank you both very much. I guess if yeah, we'll let Lily get to case. Let's see. This one is HOC 26-12, 1996 Market Avenue.
Dan,
I'll never think of.
quick question. Is there any administrative updates that you have for after the meeting?
No, nothing in particular.
Thank you.
And I'm going to sign off.
Thank you. So 1996 Market Avenue, aka Market Square Park. Got Lily here from OCI. If you want to just walk through the presentation, let me know when you want me to advance the slides, please.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Well, I guess good afternoon. I'm Lily. I'm the Planning and Development Specialist at Ohio City Incorporated, and I'm overseeing the revitalization of Market Square Park. Could you go to the next? Thank you. Okay, so before starting our revitalization efforts in Market Square Park, we consulted with Land Studio and Vocon to understand what our gaps are in our service in the park and what revitalization efforts would best suit us. One of the main components was ensuring that we get a shady spot for those wanting to eat lunch from the market or just hang out. So that's what this presentation is about, is ensuring that we get a shady spot for some visitors. You can see here that we have a rendering from Vocon. Just for some perspective, this is a view going down Market Avenue headed west. So at the end here, where there's like those colorful blocks, that would be where like Great Lakes Brewery is and Wards and Wards. So the sunshades here is the main element that we're focusing on. You can see that they go over Market Avenue. No, next slide's great. Thank you, Dan. So these are some existing conditions of Market Avenue. As you can see, I took these when it was snowy out, so try not to imagine it in winter. But you can see that there's not a whole lot going on Market Avenue. There's some lampposts and there's some trees, and when the trees are in bloom, it feels really nice. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot of reason to hang out on Market Avenue, especially not when there's no events occurring. So this is where we are looking to install the sunshades. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So these are the shades in question. They are from a specific shade manufacturer called Tension. The layout to the right is the configuration that we would be looking to put them in, and the color to the left is the color that we are thinking. It's in line with our Ohio City branding and we think it's complementary to the existing colors of the surrounding buildings, and just the park in general. Each of the shades will be 20 feet equilateral triangles, and they will be in the layout above, sort of going east-west down Market Avenue. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So the poles, they aren't super fancy. They are black stainless steel to match the lampposts that are going around the park. They will be 10 feet tall, and they will be anchored below the frost line. Everything that we are doing should be able to be disassembled for winter time, so the shades won't be weighed down by snow. And just in case anything were to happen, like, they're not irreversible changes that we were looking to make in the park. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So this is sort of an overhead view of Market Avenue. The shades are roughly to scale, given the fact that I'm human and like they might be a little off. But this location was decided both with the Land Studio plan in mind, the Vocon plan in mind, where main sun exposure is in the park, what utility access in the park looks like, what would be beneficial for potential future events such as concerts or any gatherings that we are hosting in the park, and where we can put them to avoid blocking security camera coverage in the park. So there were a lot of factors considered, and ultimately this is what we landed on, in the hopes of both activating Market Avenue and kind of avoiding a lot of potential issues of other locations. And that's about all the info I have. I'm happy to answer any questions or reply to any comments.
Thank you, Lily. To clarify that first rendering, we're just looking at the sunshade, right? We're not looking at.
Yes.
Okay. Is
That's
this
correct.
aspirational, or is this something that's going to be installed?
So I have aspirations of swing benches. I think that they would be a really great and welcome addition to the park. But aside from that, in this rendering, what we are looking at is the addition of some games, which is not really something that I think we'd need to go through design review for. We have some movable furniture that we would be looking to put under the sunshades to allow those who are working remote to kind of have a shady spot to see their computers, and those who are looking to have a meal to have a comfortable place to congregate. But from this image, the only permanent thing would be the sunshades.
Okay, great. And another clarification, they'll be triangular rather than square, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you.
correct.
What's the stainless steel to mesh lampposts there? I think the slide is just cut off. How are they anchored, the posts?
So we are doing some brick replacement in the park. So they will be buried when we are doing the brick replacement below the frost line, so that there won't be any issue there. And they will have like an anchored base. So they will be going in when the bricks are removed. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you're pouring in additional, like pouring a footer for each of these and then using anchor bolts to adhere the plate to the footer and then putting the brick around the pole, essentially.
Correct. So it should be pretty sturdy just to avoid any shenanigans.
Yeah, that would be, I think that was kind of my only concern, is making sure that they're sturdy. Do we still vote, Dan? Because we,
Yes, yeah, we had quorum at the beginning of the meeting, so you
okay,
are
thank you.
still vote even with just 3 of you voting.
Um,
You'll just need either Margaret or Mara to make a motion.
yeah,
Whitney's still here too. Oh wait, no, Whitney recused. Never mind. Go ahead, Mark.
I do have one comment / question. It appears both in the renderings and in the plans, the shade intersects with existing trees there. Is that correct?
So the trees are taller than the sunshades. So I get that that is like a little bit of a confusing angle, but they shouldn't necessarily be in line or like disruptive of the sunshades. And we're also looking to do some additional landscaping in the park. So if there were branches in the way, we could get those removed.
Yeah, if you go back to the first rendering, it does intersect a couple of them. And just for not damaging your shade or not damaging the tree either, I would recommend moving around those to be respectful to the landscaping that is there, but also don't want to see your new shade get poked by a branch or something.
Yeah, that would be not fun.
But other than that, I don't have any objections.
I just had one clarification question. Are the poles being installed in the former Market Avenue, or are they going to be installed above the curb line? On the
I
sidewalk
believe they should
or
be
park?
in Market Avenue.
If there's not any other questions, I'm happy to go ahead and make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Hearing no other comments, Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Ms. Lamb,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
I'm sure the motion passes by a vote of 3-0 with 2 recusals. Thank you very much, Lily. We'll be in touch.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. All right. And last but not least, we have a concept review, case HOC 26-15, 3909 Bridge Avenue. We discuss the idea of new construction of a single-family home on a vacant site. So we've got Gillian from Knez and OCI's own Ben Trimble here. So let me know when you guys want me to advance through the slides.
Hi, everyone. Ben, do you want to start off and give an overview of the project?
Yeah, I'll start. So hi, everyone. Ben Trimble. I'm Chief Real Estate Officer at Ohio City Incorporated. We also, a couple years ago, started an organization called the Near West Community Land Trust. It's actually a partnership with ourselves and Tremont West Development Corporation to preserve affordable housing on the Near West Side, as well as to create more. As part of that initiative, we are working on right now building and rehabbing 15 units of affordable housing on the Near West Side. All of our new construction is focused on land bank lots. And as part of that, because of the kind of increasing costs of building all this affordable housing, we have a mixed market rate and affordable program that we're working on with Knez right now. And so we're building 15 units. Some of those are rehab, and then we're doing 3 market rate units out of that group. And the idea is that we sell the market rate units and then we use the proceeds to buy down the cost of the affordable housing units. So this would be actually one of our market rate units. It is a land bank lot, a former land bank lot from the city of Cleveland that has been transferred to us. We are working on trying to build a market rate house here. The problem is it's a really, really narrow lot. And so we're trying to build a lot that has access to off-street parking. And so we sat down a couple weeks ago with Landmark staff just to try to conceptually talk through this issue because there's not room to put a driveway next to it. And we talked through some different options, including having sort of one of those garage doors that's hidden from the street, or a possible just almost like a carriage house. And so we decided on maybe trying to pursue a strategy of building a house that looks like a carriage house, which could have a garage that fronts on Bridge, but that would be set back significantly, almost to mimic the setback of a carriage house, so that it wouldn't stand out on the street as some bizarre, almost front-loaded garage. So this is the site. Gillian, I'm sorry. Do you want to add anything to that right now? Sorry.
No, that was exactly, I think, what I would have said. So thank you, Ben.
So this is the site looking south on Bridge. It's this parcel has been the source of frequent complaints from neighbors just because it's overgrown. It's not taken care of very well, and there's like a huge sinkhole in the middle that I know a lot of the folks from the block club dump kind of their extra dirt in when they change around their landscaping, just try to fill it. We're just west of 38th Street here on the south side of Bridge. Dan, if you can go to the next slide. So this is the survey. As you can see, it's a 26-foot wide lot, which doesn't allow us to get a unit there with setbacks and a driveway next to it. You can see the house on the east side of the property also encroaches right up to the property line, and so that makes it difficult to manage too. The lot to the west is a vacant lot with parking and a curb cut off of it. You can go to the next slide. Now, just some of the context for the setback on some of the houses nearby. Most of the houses are probably set back less than 5 feet and are almost on the sidewalk. They're extremely close and close together. Though there is some precedent for the carriage house kind of form that we're talking about. Dan, can you go to the next slide, actually? So here's one that's just west of there. As most folks are familiar with this block, there's a lot of rear houses, on some of these houses on Bridge. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have alley access on the south side. A lot of the north side houses have alley access. Most of these parcels were split and probably used to go back to Fulton Court, but have been discontinued in the past. This is just to the west of our site, the image to your right, which is a really cute carriage house behind this house on Bridge. And so as we were talking through with Landmark's staff, we thought that maybe like the solution to our problem might be trying to set back a carriage house so that it almost looks like it's an accessory to one of the surrounding houses to try to minimize the impact of that garage door. And this is our unit. I'll let Gillian talk through this. This is a unit that that Knez did build on Franklin and 52nd a couple years ago as a carriage house.
Yeah, so we were just proposing, when we built it, it was a duplex unit. So we're proposing to build it as a single unit. And, we talked through some ideas and modifications on this house to blend in with the style of Bridge Avenue a little bit more. So we were hoping to maybe talk through some of those ideas with you guys as well. But I put the colors in here that we were proposing, deciding if on the next slide is there. So you have all the materials, and then so it would be a single car garage with the front door would be off to the side. So we're proposing to build a walkway up to the front door that would come off the driveway, so people can access and find the front door. But this is the design as it was built. And so we're proposing to do something very similar, just as a single unit.
Thank you. Good to see you both.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I can start the conversation. Also, thank you so much for the context of this, because I think we were all a little bit like, what is this when we saw the garage? But that is pushing it back on the site definitely starts to make more sense contextually. I guess, and obviously the mission of the project, I'm in alignment with, as you all know. But here are some thoughts. I'm going to talk out loud. What kind of zoning variances might be attached or be hurdles to this with a front-facing garage? Are we pushing it so far back that it's fully in the rear of the lot to have a front-facing garage? Like, I'm thinking on that. Just, you don't have to answer that question. It's more like a couple are there going to be continuous barriers to the project?
I think that there will be, certainly will be at least a front yard setback variance, I would guess, because we won't be in line with the rest of the houses.
Yeah.
They would be probably closer in line with some of the rear houses, honestly, on the street.
And then I think too, like protecting the market rate aspiration of it, what kind of siting elements are going to be part of this to make it desirable at a market rate. I would think it might, because it's going to have this long driveway in the front. What does the rest of it look like? Is it gated? Is it fenced? I should say protecting the market rate, but also, how are we making it feel? I think there's nothing lovelier than that like maroon brownish house with the carriage house setback, but obviously it's also some significant investment in terms of their site work, right? We've got a brick driveway, there's a fence, like that's the ideal, but we're straddling what you guys need to do financially, and I totally appreciate that. But I think like in terms of looking at the next presentation, having more siting and thought into that, what the front half of the site looks like would be helpful.
Yeah.
For the house itself, and I can appreciate that it's so narrow, I just really struggle with not seeing a front door from the facade, and I'm curious if the plan can get tweaked a little bit to like allow for it. Maybe it doesn't have to be in alignment with the garage door. I think in my perfect world, I'd be proud of the garage door, so you could really make like the porch extends past. But is there a way that we could make it feel more?
I think this house is already at 17 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
So we're already
19 feet buildable.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think so. I mean, because it's a single car garage as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
how deep is the garage in the plan? Do you know?
Here, let me pull up the plans.
It would help if the little stoop became sort of a side porch, and the entrance to it was proud of the front of the house, and maybe it was like a more of a shed roof angling down or something that made it feel like it was more of a side porch that just happens to have a door on the side of the house.
Yeah, because just the nature of having the garage in the front, assuming the garage is probably 20 feet deep at minimum, the entry point of the house is then 20 plus feet, and we're already with a linear drive, like, you know what I mean? More like, is there just something, can the porch element be long and skinny, which we've certainly seen porches like that throughout the neighborhood.
Do you want me to try to, can I share my computer or no? Can I share my screen or no?
Yeah, we don't have that capability on these meetings, sorry.
It looks like it's 20 feet in length. And so then the little porch would be at probably back at, I would say like about 35 feet back total, if you include the garage.
Yeah, without seeing what you guys are doing on the interior, like the plan of it, I don't know if things could shift, either shift in plan to put that entry point physically closer and stretch that porch would be helpful.
Okay.
Because I think with all the goals in mind, all things considered, size of the, width of the site, putting it towards the rear makes sense contextually, but then you really would have no concept of the front door from the street, or very little.
Understand. Yeah. But when you basically, we set it back, like when you step down from the garage, you're in a little hallway and you have stairs to go up.
Mhm.
And then there's like a little hallway to enter your living room area and kitchen. So the porch is basically kind of right past that hallway to enter into the living room. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So I think we would be in like basically the staircase if we tried to move it up closer to the garage. But we might be, I mean, we could probably come up with something.
Yeah, I think if there was an opportunity to adjust the plans without a full redesign, or maybe you guys have a similar layout in one of your other models that could help that. Or even maybe it's just, that the porch is, you're pulling that porch element, so it's like it's like a very long, skinny porch. I don't know.
Okay.
The structure itself, I should say the aesthetics of it itself, obviously appreciate the materiality. I feel like there could be an improved proportion between the scallops and the lap siding.
Yeah, we talked about that. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And I also would love to see the windows framed out more traditionally. In like a rake board added, just like a little layer of, I think, like you have kind of like the sticking elements. It's just more, I think more of that cream, like around the windows and extending the rake board at the apex and narrowing that scallop.
I think when we met with the commission, or Landmark staff, we talked about eliminating the scallops completely.
Okay.
That was one idea. And I think there was also conversation about removing the bay as well.
I don't love the bay either.
Okay.
I'm trying not to I think if you you could probably be successful with like either a double or triple window configuration up there, like probably 2 with the width, if it works in the plan. I don't mind the 2 colors, like if you had the banding with an accent color at the apex, that I think could still add visual interest. But if it sounds like we're on the same page with those.
Yeah, we didn't want to like start messing with it until we got some feedback from you all, to just make sure we're making kind of one revision instead of trying to do multiple. So you would remove the scallops.
I would.
Okay.
And
then
that's, remove scallops, remove bay, add a thicker rake board, and trimming out the windows more traditionally, like 3.5 inches on the sides with the sill expressed on the bottom. I'm trying to see what else. Otherwise, I think, given the overall mission and site size, that I am, would be supportive.
Color, how do you feel about the color?
I'm neutral on the colors.
Okay.
I think keeping the darker blue, I think having an accent, whether it's the banding is keeping it in the apex or like having a tricolor, is nice. Maura and I think we
Margaret, I think stepped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nia, I think you hit like pretty much everything I would have mentioned about this. I do strongly agree about the entries, though, that having some hierarchy to the garage entry versus house entry would be preferable, but also understand the site limitations. So I think even just an exercise of considering it, and like if you came back and said, hey, we thought about it, but it doesn't work with the plan, just so that we can all know that it was investigated at least, would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, Maura, do you have any thoughts on the garage door itself? I'm kind of, it's one of those, like I think you guys mentioned at the top of the meeting, like, does it blend in, like you do like a one where you try to minimize it? But I don't know. I could go back and forth. I think if the idea is it to feel like a carriage house, the carriage style door is fine, but I'm curious.
I think that's where we landed when we met with staff too, because I think we went back and forth because we had brought like a packet of different garage doors. I think that Hannah had put together, but I think that's where we had landed. Or if we're going to do a carriage house, do a carriage door. But happy to get any input you guys have on that.
I think my feeling on that depends on how the entry is configured, because if the house entry is proud of that, then I would say make the door blend in. But if we are keeping it like more carriage house style and the entry stays in the back, I'm okay with the door as is.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good. I also think you could, like simplifying the details, but also maybe, maybe there is like a bit more of a special larger lantern, that sort of does help pull some interest. I'd also would be curious, have you guys had any consultation with real estate agents about their thoughts on it? Because I think that could be helpful too in terms of keeping it market rate.
I don't know that we've reached out to any like agents, but we've talked to our in-house salespeople and just kind of gone over what we think will work. And this product was pretty successful on Franklin. So we think that, it would be successful on Bridge as well. I know like we really want Bridge to work as a market rate product because Ben and I feel very strongly that out of all the lots we have, this is probably our best lot. So, I think that would help add to the success of the project. So we were just trying to look and see what we have that would work in a way that is also saleable.
Totally.
Unfortunately, it's also just the smallest lot that we have.
I know.
I know.
Exactly. I totally get trying to make this work. One more wrench I'll ask was there any idea or thought to the neighboring property and perhaps like in some sort of easement access, like for a shared driveway? I know that that's probably a can of worms, but I can't help but ask it knowing that next door lot is open still. Like I remember
this is you. I mean, I'll say
we haven't. I mean, we kind of talked about it at a high level, but kind of discounted that.
I know it's without
just because it seemed like it would take, in order to do that, it would take away like half of their parking area and stuff.
Right. I know years ago when that was listed, that property.
Yeah.
We had looked at it with the thought of, oh, we could share a driveway to give access to this land trust lot while still building in front and then having two missing teeth filled in.
Yeah.
I did not buy it though. So unfortunately it would have been different for you guys if I bought it, but it was my my neighborhood planning dreams.
I would say that people don't like people accept a shared driveway, but they don't love it.
I know, but I that's something I just fundamentally don't get about people.
I don't have a driveway at all. My computer crashed during this conversation. Did you talk about the windows at all?
We talked about I suggested more traditional window trim.
I mean I think for the materials, because I think there's a vinyl that was spec'd, I think we would not want vinyl product.
That's fair, but I didn't catch that. Would you be good on the full project or just the front?
I mean, I prefer the full project for longevity's sake, but just the front is the standard recommendation from Landmarks. And then I, for one, don't really support the bay.
We talked about
That
that.
was also
Okay.
I think
discussed.
Great.
everyone else agreed with you.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
From
Of course,
staff to the committee
computer.
members, everyone is.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
It's good to hear you all said the same thing too. That makes
Yeah,
it easy for us
that's-
too, because we know who to respond to. That's great.
Right, do you guys feel like you had sufficient feedback?
I think so. Can we talk real quickly about setback too? So, so we were talking, like about a 40-foot setback, basically from the front, which would allow us to, you know, sort of have still a little backyard, actually, you know, give like a 30-foot backyard, but we thought would minimize the effect of this and make it look like a, you know, kind of the, you know, an accessory building. Does that seem adequate to you, or do you think we should push it back farther, closer?
I'm gonna check what my own front back setback is because I'm set a little bit back and I'm curious what that is. Not quite this far, but
And we would obviously come back with a revised, you know, a revised site plan, all that kind of stuff. That's just, we wanted to talk to you guys before we invested a lot of time and energy into trying to figure it out to see if you guys would be okay with this idea.
yeah, totally.
And do you have an idea of how far back that other carriage house that we keep looking at as an example, how far back this one is set? Do we know?
I would say
It
that
looks
was
like
really deep, actually. I think that's
like
probably
60 or more.
yeah, I think maybe more.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we set it back 40 feet, it would put it basically back, if those context photos, probably basically past like the over halfway past like the neighboring house to the rear of it. So, but wouldn't be that far back. And that would allow us like a 20-foot by 20-foot backyard, basically 20 by 25 backyard in the rear. So yeah, just right about there would be the front of it.
I mean, I think if you set it all the way back to be in line with existing, then in the future that just opens up for somebody else to try to squeeze something else on the front of the property. So I'd rather have it be part way.
Okay.
I think 40 feels good in plan. My own house is 24 feet, Ben. I know you know that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's a lot further back than, you know what I mean? That feels like.
Yeah, like
that
these are
feels
so close. I think you won't notice it because it'll be so far back there, you know?
Are you guys gonna hug it to the one side or the other?
I think we were talking about putting it kind of in the middle,
We were
Okay.
talking about putting it in the middle.
just because of the setbacks from either side, because it's such a narrow lot. I think that gives us basically like a 4 foot on either, you know, it's like four and change on either side.
Yeah, I would say consider with the porch, if it does make sense to snug it one way or the other so that you could have access to the backyard. Like if you hugged it towards the existing house, it might give you like just enough sidewalk or have a little garden to like connect those front and back spaces.
Yeah.
From a market standpoint, that might be desirable. Or even fencing, like if you had dogs or kids, you could fence a portion of the front and the back to expand the yard space.
Gotcha.
But not, and you know, you show us, like, don't, that's not
Yeah.
my book. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't think so. Ben, do you have any?
No, I think that's great. Thank you so much for looking at a creative solution here for us. We appreciate it and your thoughts and time today. So we'll go back and make revisions and come back to you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
guys.
Thank you all so much.
Dan, do we have any business to talk about?
No administrative report today. So thank you all very much.
Awesome. Thank you all. Let's call today's Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.